Thank you so much for sticking with us here on Good Morning Kentuckiana Weekend Edition. I'm Gabriel Gonzalez. As always, we have my partner in crime, Mr. Reed Yaden, but he's not in Kentuckiana. He is far down in Florida. Reed, good morning to you. Looks nice and sunny out there too.
Oh, it is a full Sunday, and thanks to our producer, I was reminded to put sunscreen on, and I did that. Thank you so much, Ashlyn. I appreciate it. A day for full sunscreen here on the beach. I think we got a wedding going on right over here, just out of our camera shot here. That's cool. On the beach, a lot of people showing up. What I want to do is share. I'm going to go ahead. Normally here we just do the weekend forecast. I'm going to break it up a little bit and share the 7-day forecast with you because it is Christmas week. You want to know what's going on for the week. Okay, there's not going to be any white Christmas, but there's not going to be any really inclement weather either. It's going to be much above average for temperatures. Today, 54, tomorrow, 44. Then you see what we do Monday and Tuesday. We start warming up gradually. Christmas Eve right now, and there's a couple of chances. Best chance of rain, looks like it comes up on Tuesday. Other chances are kind of minimal, really. It won't be a big deal. I think any rain on Christmas might be in the afternoon. The morning will be dry. Christmas Eve looks like 60. Can you believe this? 65. 65 on Christmas Day. And then the day after, I know, everybody's out getting the bargains and taking stuff back. Still going to be warm. Just a slight chance for showers. Well, South Florida is a popular destination this time of the year, in particular for the holidays. People want to get a break from the cold. They've had a sample of it. They shed the big heavy coats as soon as they get to the airport, but in the airport, it is a scramble. And there's a typical view walking down one of the concourses at Fort Lauderdale International Airport. It's shoulder to shoulder, everybody just give and take, and everybody gets where you're going. But those big heavy coats come off. By the time you get to the curb, the big heavy coat's coming off of you, and you're set for some time in the sun. We'll see you one more time, and I'll show you what's going to go on temperature-wise for the entire Christmas week and why it's going to be so nice. At least nice if you don't like snow. If you like snow, you're out of luck, but at least it's not going to be frozen and miserable to where people can't get out. Tell you what we do. We'll see you again one more time in about 15 minutes from right now. In the meantime, here's Gabe again.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Reed. We thought it was the final nail in the coffin. Kentucky Supreme Court struck down a law that would have shifted power from the JCPS board to the superintendent. But now one state lawmaker says Republicans are not going to let the court stop them from improving the district. Isaiah K. Martinez explains what this means for you and your students.
Republican State Representative Jason Nemes of Middletown believes JCPS would be performing better if the superintendent had more authority in day-to-day decisions and the school board less.
The school board is incompetent. They don't have their priorities in order. And so we're trying to change the process where we can make better decisions.
It's why he says state Republicans are not taking no for an answer.
So we're not going to let the court stop us.
Just a day after Kentucky Supreme Court struck down the state law that would have allowed the JCPS superintendent to do more without board approval, Nemes says there are plans to pass a similar bill with tweaks that he thinks will hold up.
One of the things that the justices wanted to know was the reasoning of the changes that we made that just applied to JCPS. And so we'll show the reasoning. They can't govern their finances. They can't educate our children. And I think we'll also probably apply it to Fayette County School Board to make sure that we get around this.
What is your response to hearing that this is going to be a renewed effort next year?
I'm curious if the response from Mr. Nemes or from anybody in Frankfort is going to be a power play. They're angry with the court because they lost this decision.
JCPS board member James Craig applauds the court's decision and says having broad oversight over the district's daily decisions is why the board is elected to begin with.
Given our current budget crisis inside of the district, should we be vesting more spending authority in a single person, or should we have it? Should we retain it with an organization that can oversee it?
The legislation Nemes is pitching is expected to be filed in 2026, what will be a big year for JCPS, with Superintendent Brian Yearwood set to give his budget proposal in January, amid a nearly $200 million budget deficit. Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS 11 on your side.
The Kentucky Supreme Court ruled it was unconstitutional for this law to only apply to JCPS and not any other school districts in the state. In an interview with WHAS11, Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman said his office will focus more on Louisville in the next year. The former FBI agent and U.S. attorney says his office is focusing on violent crime and firearm cases. Coleman calls himself Kentucky's top cop, pushing for tougher prosecution of the most violent offenders. His downtown Louisville office brought in more than 100 indictments last year as part of a violent crime reduction team.
And so we have a challenge in how we deal with juveniles, but we also have a challenge that we have many parents that aren't parenting, that don't know, as Chief Humphrey has said a number of times very bravely, there are a lot of parents that aren't doing their job and staying on top of their kids, and we're losing lives unnecessarily.
Looking ahead, Coleman says his office will crack down on online platforms he says fail to protect children. Meantime, our sister station in Indianapolis, WTHR, sat down with Indiana Governor Mike Braun to reflect on the year. After the mid-cycle redistricting bill failed to pass in Indiana, Braun said he's now focused on other issues he can actually control, saying those were the cost of health care and electricity. WTHR also asked the governor about the future of data centers. In the past year, saw large protests from local communities who did not want data centers in their neighborhoods, including southern Indiana. The governor then saying data centers are not meant for every community.
I think when it comes to data centers, obviously they're not going to work around areas that have lots of population. I think data centers will go in places where it'll have an immediate impact on lowering property taxes, places where they wouldn't have the infrastructure to support a large company coming in with a lot of jobs due to the educational and healthcare infrastructure.
Braun said one of the accomplishments he's most proud of in this first year is reorganizing of state government. Braun restructured his cabinet so that instead of separate agency heads reporting individually, the executive branch is now grouped into 8 major policy areas. It's a new beginning for inmates at the Clark County Jail. They can officially call themselves graduates after completing a construction apprenticeship with the help of Ivy Tech Sellersburg. The program launched in 2023 with a simple goal: to build a new workforce pipeline, reduce chances for relapse, and offer a second chance at life. After this group, the program will have successfully OSHA certified 168 inmates and trained 80 in VR construction. Austin Wilson had a special training in the VR component where he used an Oculus headset.
It was challenging at first for someone that's, not really used it too often, but once acquiring how to use the tool, it's pretty neat.
The new grads are also eligible to join the Carpenters Union after their release.